Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everyone to episode 271 of Born to be Wild, a Wild Hearthstone podcast where we have fun, hanging out with friends, talking about the wild formats of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I am your host, ElectricSheepCity. It's great to be back on this wonderful Friday evening here in Kickin' Rad, Colorado. I am joined by fellow host, Schmoopiedady.
I was jealous of Jacques' smooth face, so I shaved.
Speaking of Jacques, joining us this week is a very special guest, JacqueKeener. Jacques is a high legend player, entertaining streaming personality, and host of the upcoming Hopin to win a Wild Open. Wild Open. Welcome, Jacques.
How's it going? I love gaming.
So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live most Friday evenings at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today. Thank you. Yes, you.
Content plug. Schmoopiedady, 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 Schmoopiedady. Schmoopiedady. Before we get into the main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon, where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends from all across the world who love talking about Wild Hearthstone. Links to all of this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. I can almost do that so fast that I can do it faster than my brain can think it, and so I start to question myself. Sheep, you want to start the guest interview?
Absolutely. So, Jacques, thank you so much for joining us tonight. To get to know you a little better, we have a traditional first couple of questions. So first, please tell us as much or little about yourself as you are comfortable with.
Hi. I'm pretty open because my username is my first name, last name. I'm JacqueKeener. I have streamed a little bit. I play a little Wild Hearthstone. Have been playing Hearthstone off and on since Blackrock Mountain, if you can believe it. I wasn't good until about a month ago, I would say. It's an uphill struggle. I'm addicted to playing tempo in formats that don't allow it. So, I'm the fool that everybody, gets to beat up on. Like KVLT will just keep on sending swipe to my face.
He like me for real. It makes so much sense. JacqueKeener being your name. Hey, so how did you find yourself into playing Wild and specifically competitive Wild? I know you said you weren't good until like a month ago. Like, highly doubt that, but like. How did you kind of stumble your way a month ago into the competitive part of it?
So I would say I got into Wild during Nathria, like the end of Sunken City, beginning of Nathria area, as that was a pretty good time in Wild. I had just returned back to the game because it was, I was looking for like a sort of COVID hobby. I joined back to actually play Classic. And then I was like, oh, let me try out a deck in Standard, because they gave me like a loner, like Big Spell Mage. And Belinda on curve never lost the game. So
she did in Wild.
Just
Ask me how I know.
Crazy card. But you just, I tried Wild, and I tried, I got really into like Reno Preset first, and Pillager Rogue, don't shoot me. I use those decks as sort of just like, high card quality or combos. I don't have to learn the game as much, but as of late, especially, as sort of like my return, I got really into like Call to Arms Paladin. Played a lot of Call to Arms Paladin before and after Order in the Court got nicked, and then as of late, a lot of Reno Hunter. And so just sort of not competitive in the sense of like I want to win, and more just I want to keep on improving, keep on getting better at the decks I play. And as long as I'm playing well, the wins will come with it. And if the wins aren't coming, maybe I'm not playing well. It's sort of the carriage is before the horse in terms of like, winning and trying to be good in this case.
Absolutely. That constant improvement paying off. So what does Wild give you as a competitive player that you didn't find in like Classic or Standard whenever you were trying those out when you came back?
Classic, Wild gives you a human opponent, which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like so many Zoobots, like Control Priest was like tier 1 if you just built for the Zoobots in that format. But Standard in particular, why I like Standard is why I like, competitive Wild is the decks are more powerful, both in how they can like, do these big like initial plays, like, Pirate Brigand patches into like coin Hosen, but also really powerful crackbacks. You can go Dreadscale Bloom, you can slam down I'm gonna punch ya, you can Showdown Beam, or you can just go over the top of it, is like, okay, like Solar Bio, kill you next turn. It's like there is you're throwing Haymakers back and forth, and you kind of get to choose with your deck on if you're going to try to catch Haymakers or if you're going to try to swing a bigger one, or on a different axis of I'm not going over the top, I'm going like an uppercut, with my deck.
It's a great way to describe Wild, really. Just everybody's just out here just swinging Haymakers.
Mm-hmm.
Back and forth. So it's recently been announced that you are hosting the Hopin to Win an Open on January 10th. Can you tell us a little bit about the tournament, kind of what made you want to organize an open like this, and as much or little as you want?
Yeah. I'll have the information finalized at least by like tomorrow morning and everything, but everything I want to let you know is reason it doesn't have like a format tied to the name or anything. That might shift around, might not always be Wild. This first one is going to be Wild Pauper. Big thing is the Wild Pauper community that currently runs it. They run the tournament times at a less than convenient time for myself and some of the other people in the community. I just want to say like, hey, I can afford to have a full Saturday off. I'm going to do it at this time. I want to run Swiss, so everybody can get in rounds, a cut to top cut, and then we will disband. We won't play that format maybe ever again. Next format could be, let's say 2 legendaries plus Pauper, or, just like something completely different. Maybe it's just straight Wild, but just something to, let you look at your cards a little bit differently, let you think about like cards that have been good and are still good, they just don't fit in the current meld of, Wild Hearthstone, without you having to like, D-rank because, at the end of the day, you're playing like a tier 3 deck. So I really just want people to like look at their cards differently and really not try to like break the bank because, if you're an EU player, you can come over and play Pauper, but you can't probably play like, like a real Wild Open style tournament without like a full collection.
That makes a lot of sense and sounds so exciting. Like switching switching up the deck building restrictions is always something that's near and dear to my heart. So I love hearing that.
It's Hearthstone with a twist, you could say.
Listen, 2025 was a great year for Twist. Let me find the pasta. Okay, 2025 was a great year for Twist. Hold on, where is it? There it is. Okay. In the final season of 2025, Twist format saw a huge boost in interest with a total legend players worldwide increasing from 0 games in November to a whopping 0 games in December. This is the highest number recorded so far in the year of the Raptor, which has been notable for exceptionally well-balanced Twist formats with virtually no power outliers in the meta. Looking forward to what the team has in store for 2026.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Basically Blizzard isn't doing Twist, and I come from more Smash Bros. Background where it's like if the company isn't hosting the right tournament, let's do it grassroots.
It sounds like the kinds of players that are this format really rewards are kind of like deck builders like me. What audience are you kind of cultivating with this? And what players do you think this format will really reward?
What I really like about, I watch a lot of old Hearthstone esports VODs. I love having them on. And one thing that they used to do with the Grandmaster system or the certain worlds is deck submission was a week or just a few days after a new expansion comes out, and it really is innovators and who can find an edge, who can see oh, that new hot deck that is hitting the ladder, that's bait, and here's why. Someone that can say, oh, Wild Pauper, I remember the first deck that everyone was trying was oh, it looks like Pirate Rogue is really good. It's got essentially all the cards. Let's slap that together. When really the deck doesn't have as much lethality. And, if this was a tournament tomorrow, and I brought a deck to hard target Pirate Rogue, which you assumed was best deck in the meta, then I've been rewarded. So I want someone who can get not only just deck builders, just a sense of how powerful cards are. Just, in the same way that you sort of have to play some turns by feel, just as play a full format by feel. And if you have your feelings wrong, well, that's it. That your tournament run is over. Someone with a better feeling is going to beat you.
One of my big qualms, especially as somebody who plays viewer decks nightly, are what people fixate on building a deck around and assuming that it's an acceptable power level as a win condition for a deck. And it's well, why are we running these cards? Well, I really wanted to play Thief and Imbue Priest. It's okay, fine. But is that really the power level that you need to do what you need to do to actually win the game? Or it's they like Genzo the Shark, right? I might have somebody come in hot and be Acorn Oil might get a wild hair and be I'm going to make Genzo the Shark work. And it's what makes you think that Genzo the Shark in the year of our Lord 2026, that this is actually going to be good enough to win a game of Hearthstone? So, yes, that is in fact a skill that needs to be nurtured and honed and given lots of reps, please.
It's funny how some people can't tell that something is bad even after playing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
It's funny because it's true. So before we pivot outside of the hoping to win an open tournament, what else would you like to say about it? We know it's January 10th. What time does it start? Where and when can folks register? All that good stuff.
I will have the links to register. It'll be in my own Discord. I'll have it set up. It'll be very, very similar to, the community Rand's Wilds Opens of the last couple years. But better, I swear. It will be January 10th, I tried to make it so EU people didn't have to take the whole week off recovering from sleep, and Australian players could actually, play in it without, skipping their workday. So it'll be, I think, around 3 p.m. Eastern time, and I believe that leads into really early, like 8 a.m. ish Australian time, and like an afternoon, like 7 or 8 European time, somewhere around there. You can't do too much better. They gotta like fix out this like round Earth thing before we want to have like better like tournament infrastructure.
Excitement abounds. For those of you listening, we also have registration links in the show notes. So if you are interested, please check it out. So a little bit more about you, Jacques. When you sit down to queue Wild, like seriously, like what mindset are you usually in? Is it like exploration, execution, adaptation? I had hidden option D here. Learning is one that I've a theme that I've kind of picked up on, but I'd like to hear more about how you learn whenever you sit down to grind.
So there's like sort of two parts to queuing up a deck and play. Like in playing, it's picking the deck and then playing the deck. So learning could be something as much like, why do all the Reno Hunter decks play this card? And it could be as simple as Niall. Why do they all play Niall? Have you read it? It's busted. It's 2 cards per turn. One of them is selected. Or it could be something a little more complex. It's like, why don't we play like Hydralodon or, any other like strong beast? It's like, well, because Selective Breeder lets us Flurgle Tox more, and Starfish is really good in the meta. And, it's sort of this, you can do a lot of studying on why you're playing certain cards in your deck, and studying on the meta of, hey, here are my expected opponents, here are the tech cards that we were playing for these expected opponents. But if you're facing someone else, you can swap over, not facing any Nazmani, not facing any Druid, cut the Speaker Stomper, replace it with something else. Don't put the Plate Breaker in there. I know I just had it in there, cut that card. It doesn't work. But there is a number of different things you can do like that. And then once you're actually playing, trust the deck list. Once you have actually queued up the games, if you haven't played the deck before, don't change a card. If you know it's a successful deck, if it has already reached, top 50, top 10, top 1 legend, or top 300 if like, you're closer to like the top 1K. I'm speaking as someone who regularly has to experience like counter queue meta in like top 50. If you're like lower down, just find a deck that is successful and trust the list. Because as soon as you start thinking about, oh, maybe I should be playing this card, you're focusing less on your gameplay of, oh, if I had just, instead of saying this card could have been this card, if I looked at my cards and seen all my options, I can really consider it all. And so it's all about this sort of execution of, planning out your turns, knowing why you're doing certain things, knowing the consequences of playing certain cards, and how they might lead into common cards your opponents will play. Both like the worst case scenario, if you can't beat that, the second worst case scenario, because once you can't beat the worst case scenario, you get to ignore it. It's actually peaceful that way. You aren't doomed. You never could have won anyway. It's fine. You're free, actually. And through all of that, you can find good, successful lines. And if you still aren't getting wins, VOD review. Check your replays. Watch your own matches back. The first time you VOD review is the first time you level up as a player. Just being able to watch a few games and like, why didn't I play Trail Mix on 2 so I can Nourish on 5? Like, why didn't I Solar Bio? Or why didn't I do, why didn't I just play my 2-drop on 2 yeah, I know it's a cult neophyte versus druid. I'm trying to time it. No, just put 3 power into play. All these sort of things, you get caught up on like the fear of your opponent might beat you while playing, and you aren't focused as much on the decisions in the same way that's like VOD review is sort of like the third person camera of I can see everything. I know how this game went, and I can just see, oh, why didn't I do this obvious play? You know, you're flicking yourself in the back of the head.
For sure. And for those of you who don't stream and all that good stuff, HS Replay, Firestone, whatever it is, that's the same thing as a VOD review, right? And you can share it with folks. So absolutely, that studying your plays, seeing where you went well, seeing where you didn't, makes so much sense.
I was going to say, just real quick, I like the idea of like, okay, if you net deck something, before you change cards, play it unchanged. That was something that Keith Numbers used to say, because like there's usually a reason why each card is in there. Now, in some cases, I would argue we have so few players. Sometimes the reason that card is in there is because some Chinese streamer put it in there as an afterthought, trying to put a 40th card in, and we've habitually been just sort of net decking it and copying the same card, like Bloodseeker or something like that, for a million years, right? But usually there's a reason behind it, so you might as well just like try it with it in there, and if you eventually hate it, then you can start like chopping and changing a little bit.
So whenever you are preparing for competition, what matters more to you? Like comfort on a deck? Like I know you've been jamming a lot of Reno Hunter. Positioning in the field, you mentioned counter queuing, kind of a mix of the two. Like what's your go-to whenever you're like selecting your deck? Because that I know that for some folks, like once you're in the game, the micro decisions and all that good stuff like are a little bit easier to kind of like digest versus like, what should I play?
I will say it differs on where you are in rank, and if you're high up, you already know the answer of, counter queue until you're rank 1 NA and EU. Thinking about somebody in particular. But if you aren't as high up, then big thing is comfort on your deck. If you aren't an expert on your deck, somebody who will beat you. Or someone, on the opponent's deck, even if you have a losing matchup, you're going to continue to have a losing matchup if you aren't playing optimally. If you don't know that, it's like, who's the beatdown in this matchup? Who needs to play the aggro? If you don't know, it's like, oh, Demon Seed, you need to sit back until they giants, and then you can punish, and then you try to, like, punish their, like, turn 7, turn 8 when they're trying to, like, weave in Tamsin. If, you don't know that's like, oh, Dungar, they can actually play through any disruption once they have the mana, you need to Cult Neophyte and Speaker Stomper on their ramp turns. Before you, if you don't know just like all the micro decisions your deck can do, it's like, oh, these are the cute little combos of I can use give a Divine Shield with Showdown to keep my 3/3 around, or if you don't know all the game plan decisions of in the Call to Arms mirror, Call to Arms isn't actually the best 4-drop, it's the Hammer, because it controls the board so well. Just all these things of you need to not only know what your deck does, but what it does versus the opponent, and there's a lot of different decks you could be facing. It's really important how you, like, are, it's not just comfort in the deck, is like, you need to be, like, you can never be uncomfortable with the deck. Anything goes awry, you know what you can solve for.
I love that so much. Learn it all.
There's a lot to learn.
Absolutely. It was great getting to know you a bit better, Jacques. So now that we know who you are, how was your week?
Week was pretty good. We just had the rank reset. I wasn't even really trying for a decent finish because around the holidays, I hit rank 1. I had a successful run on rank 1 with Reno Hunter. And it was, I had a grand old time. It was my second time being rank 1. First time was when, what was the corrupt card that was double corrupting? Dark Moon Statue.
Oh, Dark Moon Statue.
Yeah, that was my first time rank 1, so it feels good to have one that like doesn't have an asterisk next to it.
I wouldn't count that as an asterisk anyway.
Yeah.
everyone
We
could play
discussed that on this
so-
show, and where it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Sour grapes.
Yeah, for sure. But it feels good to just get one of just like, hey, this is a deck that like I really believed in. Like it was a known quantity, but I was like, no, I think this deck has like more legs than even like the top players are giving it. And I ended up finishing like top 20. Spent some of New Year's Eve just playing Sparrow Claw XL Shadow Hunter on my phone, missing lethal a couple times, classic. And then finished 11x both standard and wild. Had a pretty good standard run this month, pretty good week. And then as of late, just as I've been browsing my like Twitter feed on X feed on X, the everything app, I see like Neon and these other deck list posting like accounts. I'll just see like more Reno Hunters, whether it's mine from like a week ago or just just like another like a CN player is like, I tried out these cards, or just another person's like, oh, I hit top 10 with my exact 40 or exact 43 with etc. Just the exact list. It's just really popping up. Reno Hunters everywhere right now, and it's got a flat it's got a flat matchup rate, sort of. So it's a good deck to be everywhere for everyone, sort of.
Love to hear that. Oh, and it's so much fun to play and lose against. Because we queued into a few matches.
Pretty one-sided, huh, Sheep?
Yeah.
Oh no. Poor Sheepy.
So that said, in my week, I hit 11x in standard and wild and EU. Got both of those. And in NA, I got 11x in standard. And I had a lot of fun tanking my rank in the last like day or two. Like, Jacques, I think you remember whenever we queued up into me playing
Even Death Knight.
That's the one. It was so much fun, and it lost so many games, and I had a blast doing it.
You're playing all the plague cards. I thought you were going to go real old school with like you're bringing back the knife jugglers and the haunted creepers, like like the original builds. No, we cut those cards
I may
for
go
a
for
reason.
some nostalgia. If my goal is to win,
Yeah, that's fair.
then I'd be playing a different deck, right? So I had a lot of fun in our format in NA as well. The Lamb's birthday, Christmas, and New Year's, all those things happened since the last time I was on the show. So it's been busy. It's been fun. But I'm so very ready to get back to a normal schedule or some semblance of one, please. Schmoopiedady, how was your week, friend?
What day is it? Like I'm in like full vacation mode. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what the date is. I could care less. I was shocked to realize last night when I was like, man, am I streaming tomorrow? Nope. Today's a Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I got Born to Be Wild. All right. I mean, maybe after Born to Be Wild. I'm never streaming after Born to Be Wild. I'm gonna be too tired. But yeah, no, it's it's been a good vacation. The kids have gotten well. We've gotten over the flu. We had the flu for the holidays, and I was convinced I was going to get it because they were sniffly and coughy, and they're coughing in your face. Just like not covering their mouth, just full on like, and it's like, thank you. Yes, thank you. But they are better now. And what was kind of cool is like, they kind of were nicer to each other than they normally would be, like being all on top of each other. Because they didn't have the energy to fight. So like that was cool. Schmoopy himself seems to have matured over break. Sometimes you get to see these like intellectual leaps in your kid, and it's so weird. Where it's just like, oh God, I can do this now. And that's so like he seems a lot more put together when he hasn't necessarily had his medication yet. He seems to be like kind of holding it down. It's like, all right, yeah, there's some hope for you. You're not going to be a leader and innovator in organized crime in the future. All right, this is true. This is great. We're doing awesome. He's beaten me 100 times in Super Smash Bros. 64. And he said, "Dad, I want you when I go for 100, I want you to play Kirby. Just play Kirby until I can beat you, because Kirby is my best character." And he did it. I made a critical error gifting him a life, but then he got me on a little Pikachu hop over my back kick and sent me into this short porch on Saffron City, and that was it. I even taught him what the term short porch means, so I've even done my job as an American. Now he's a monster. My buddies played with him, and my buddy basically all he did in college was like drink beer, get high, and play Smash Brothers 64. And he's just like, Jesus, this kid. Sometimes we play, he's better than me. Sometimes when we play, I'm better than him. So like we have to basically figure out who's playing what character, because if he plays a character that's too good, I can't meme. And if I play a character that's too good, he can't meme. So we have to basically find these détentes where it's just like, I'm going to play. It's like a jockeying. It's like, I'm going to play this character. I'm like, well, then I'm going to play this character. It's like, fine, I'll play this character. Be like, fine, I'll play this character. And we'll settle on Donkey Kong and Link and go from there. Day one legend. It was grindy. It was also a little frustrating for me. I did not keep track of my mobile record like I usually do on my day one climb. This relog bug, which makes me, every time I open the Hearthstone app, makes me sign back into Blizzard. Even though I have all the passwords saved and everything, it feels like a huge hassle to me. And it would have made yesterday completely untenable to finish a game, hop out the window for a second, log my game, log the deck I played against, hop back in, because it just would. It feels like a disaster. It feels like the kind of bug, and this is a little melodramatic, but it feels like the kind of bug where if it exists in your game, there are casual players who will not play your game because it exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's for
and that sounds dramatic, but that's a reality. Sorry, Sheep, you're jumping out of your seat. I've been denying you. It's like the kid has got to use the bathroom. What's up?
And if you have two-factor on, you have to two-factor.
Oh my God, no!
Every single time.
I do not.
Guess how I know? I play primarily on mobile, and I have two-factor turned on.
No,
so I have to two-factor, and if you disconnect, you have to log and two-factor. Yeah, I feel your pain, and now you know some of my exacerbation thereof.
They know about it, right? Like, I'm not just complaining into the ether.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. At least they know about the bugs. Sometimes I'm not sure, especially in the wild, we complain about some bugs, and I think they're completely unaware they exist. Like, I have no idea, because everybody's like circle complaining about them, but no one's actually bothered to get off their butt and log the bug.
Yeah, they might not know that Zeph had a lobotomy as of late.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
That I don't think they do. I think that one's like deep down there in the pasta. I don't know if they'll find that one. I don't know if anybody wants to touch that one. That's like brain surgery.
Yeah, Zeph
they could make that
saw
worse.
A bunch of 3-1s on my opponent's board and did not give me Fan of Knives with 3 mana left. It was...
What did he give you?
So it was like Hydrolodon heads. So like one of the options was like Shadow of Madness, assuming that the Death Rattle was beneficial in some way. But
okay, all right,
it's like there was some thought behind
that.
it, but no way to deal 1 damage to them. It was like it was game losing. I'll tell you that much.
Unlucky.
Yeah, Wild Hearthstone.
Yeah, and I've defended Zeph a lot, but it seems like, and this is a good PSA because you brought it up, it seems like he's incapable of giving low-cost silence as of right now. He might still give Transform, like he might still give Frogs, but he's not giving Frog anymore either.
Not for Egg, which is the main thing
not for
everyone's trying
Egg,
to.
okay.
And the second thing is Sphere of Sapience, which is popular due to Warrior right now. If it has 4 durability, you'll get Ooze or Harrison. If they have used a durability on Sphere, you will not get weapon removal. If it is 3
weird.
durability, you will not get weapon removal. It is tough.
I don't know how much of a factor that is with that deck, but removing Sphere period is good. Yes. I don't know after the first charge is used, but you really can't tell, right? That's like one-sided information.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. Anyway, so now that one of my favorite cards that I've done a whole video defending is getting dumber, unlucky. We have been pumping out guides on my personal stuff, which has been really cool. People's schedules have been lining up. We got Sparrow Claw on the voice reveal talking about how to play XL Shadow Priest. That was really cool. We had Jacques on immediately afterwards, and I felt a little bad because I basically sprung it on him because we had talked about it in DMs but didn't pick a day. And then I was like on the stream, I was like, and Jacques tomorrow. And Jacques like, yeah. And we made it work. And then immediately afterward, we had Magma Rager Dex from DMH Chord Chieftain fame on talking about Warsong Warriors. So we got like 3 really good decks. I wish I wasn't dropping frames when it was happening, but I don't know what's wrong with my internet. I drop some frames sometimes. I hope that I will find them. But the audio is unabused. The audio is still fine. So at least that like the information audioly is out there and the visuals like mid to good enough. Very happy to do those. Those were a lot of fun, especially Jacques. We had some fun.
I will say, I don't want to pump myself up too much. I think the guide went exceptionally well. I think the games went really well, and just I think how the cards, how you like to talk about decks, the cards lined up for it well.
100%. And like you said, the games went great where we got to show a lot of different aspects of the deck. We showed it being like anti-aggro. We got a good game of it being the beatdown. I think we disrupted a combo along the way. Like we had a good run. And like I've done deck videos where things don't quite line up right. Like forefront of mine is I have to have KVLT come back on, and so we got to do Dungar Druid. He had a great idea of doing Dungar Druid against the Innkeeper because there's no turn timer, so he can give insight onto like the combo as the combo unfolds. So we don't even have to go over like the mulligan, and we could do mulligan, but we don't have to go over like deck construction anymore or like brief interview or whatever. Just come back in and just focus. Okay, what does the turn look like? Because that was the part that crashed and burned, where it's like the games did not reflect any input of expertise on his part because it's just limitations of it being a combo turn. So I thought we had that great game against Ben where we literally we planned out like 3 turns ahead what we wanted to do on turn 6. That was awesome because that was Jacques doing his brain dump, talking about here are our options, here's my plan, here's what I'm seeing, let's go and find it. And we did, and it was great. Anyway, that was my week. Let's talk about the news, or not?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
Yeah, they're on holidays right now.
They're on vacation. There's no news. There's no news. No one made any news.
Firebat went live, but not Hearthstone. So.
Oh, it wasn't Hearthstone. No.
No, it was like it was TFT. So like the news.
Man, I tried to play TFT like back in the day. This was years ago now, and it not knowing who the characters are made it so much more difficult that I just stopped.
So much reading. I would just put really complicated things behind lines like wish for the perfect card, and I'll figure it out over time.
Have you ever watched Rice Bowl or Get Meowth talk about TFT? Because they both got super high ratings. Like watching them talk through the game. Like this is a game that you sit down and you study. Like it's some form of science, and you can get super deep. And that's the thing, is games like that. I used to do like an online soccer game called Hat Trick that was kind of like that, where it was like, here's this overarching strategy, and just like you just learn and you just go in on like the knowledge and the nuts. It's like, wow, this is impressive. But Sheep, if you couldn't identify the heroes, I have heard that former guest Boogerworm could probably have done so if they took off their shoes and showed you their feet. he got 11 out of 11. He got like 1,000 correct guesses on League of Legends heroes via foot picks. So that seems like something that you could try in the future to help, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm unsure. Maybe not.
TF Toes you could play.
This has become an eventful news section. I apologize in part for this, but mostly not.
You know, back in the day whenever I was playing TFT, I don't remember whether feet were visible or not, because that's
They
not
probably
like
weren't.
a thing that I pay attention to. So
This is possibly fan sourced. We should quickly move to discussion topic.
My idea for our discussion topic this week is the board is not super impactful in the current meta, and how can we like combat that phenomenon? Because like I like playing me some board based decks, and I want to see those actually be at least halfway competitive. So Schmoopy, I'm gonna actually start with you because you have no clue what to say with it. you didn't know that was coming your way first. The board, how can we make it better? I want it better.
I think it always starts with aggro. How good is aggro? If aggro is good and aggro is board based, that automatically means that other strategies get a chance to breathe and chance to be good. We do have stuff in the meta right now, like, Egg of Kalos, whatever. However, the big chicken. It's not a chicken, it's a turtle. You're distracting me, guys. This thing having taunt is really not great for board-based aggro strategies. And so I realized something, actually the other day, like our friend friend Dujay on Discord said, man, I'm going to craft Seedlock and go on my Seedlock climb. And I'm like, dude, I hate to tell you this, but this is like the worst meta ever for trying to climb with Seedlock, because Seedlock, as much as you like hate it and its win condition is off board, it really does care about decks that play for the board. It feeds on decks that play for the board. It's trying to beat decks that play for the board, but not so hard that like they have a giant, row of death rattles and a 2020 taunt on it. And so I was just like, this is a bad deck. This is a bad matchup for Seedlock. This is a bad deck matchup for Seedlock. This is a bad deck for matchup for Seedlock. Then I'm like, oh my god, wait, those are the same bad matchups for my Skipper Odin Warrior that I love so much. Damn it. So I think it starts with like when aggro's good. When aggro's good, it means that decks like Seedlock and Skipper Odin Warrior are good. When those decks are good, then board matters and board gets better. So I guess I would say is like, let's look at the factors. If we wanted to make board better in Wild, we look at the factors of just like, okay, what are the things limiting board right now? Because as much as you hate it, even something like Hostage Mage, which kind of like flips board against you, it very much cares about board, right? It very much cares about factors that influence the board. In fact, its whole shtick is, how can I control your board so that you can't do anything with it anymore? So that would be like my 2 cents. Do we want to ask the young intrepid game designer what he thinks? Because I think he's going to be much more insightful even than me.
Yeah, buddy.
How long will you let me go?
Go.
Okay, so let's start from bases. If I have a spell that can only be shot at a minion in my deck, and you don't have any ways to produce minions in your deck, or, it's very few, let's say like a Varden, or, like the dragon that dredges up Ceaseless, for a lot of armor. You have very few actual minions you'd like to play out. That means I have a dead card in my deck, in my hand. This has always been a powerful thing in many card games of just, it's called virtual card advantage, where you have the card in your hand, it's not real because you can't use it, really. And this has always been a thing in Hearthstone, even if you look back to like classic Hearthstone, because it's like, yes, there is very effective board decks because tempo is often king in Hearthstone, especially in the standard formats. They like to incentivize board. But there's always been decks that have tried to ignore it. Freeze Mage back then, trying to kill you from hand. Yes, it need to answer your board, but if you ran something like a Wrath in your Druid, well, versus Freeze Mage, it's just not going to have a target most of the game. And that just keeps on transcending up to the current day of Hearthstone. And so there's like a few reasons why you're not getting less necessarily like the virtual card advantage of I'm not running minions in my deck, but my Wound Prey is bad because you have a 20/20 taunt. Or my Showdown Beam doesn't work because you have a bunch of eggs lying out. Or you are trying, you've been playing ramp for 3 turns. I didn't draw my Crusader aura, so I can't interrupt, your like Bud, plus like, or Barnes into Bud. And, there's all these different reasons on like why it's really effective to not play for board. If I don't have to play for board, I don't have to interact with you. I only need to play half the game. And there's really powerful reasons to not be playing for board right now. One is 125 Warrior has really clean ways to kill from hand, whether it's Sulfurous or Odin or, just they're doing all sorts of.
I tried Gauntlet. I tried the bladed Gauntlet, and I drew a bladed Gauntlet card that killed me against a burn lock, and never again. Never again. But that I did get a very clean like turn 6 on a very clean turn 6 on a Reno Priest. So to your point, yes, we have options.
Yeah, Necros killed or Necros finished ranked 1 on Odin Warrior.
Oh, he finished ranked 1? Good for him.
He finished ranked 1. Congrats to them. But they have really strong defensive tools. So if you wanted to play board and make them care about, the board, well, they have 1 mana, 1 mana gain 10 armor, summon 2 things that die to shield shatter. So you need your minions to be higher than 5 health, but you also need to get on board quick enough for them to feel unstable enough or persistent pressure through like a Pirate DH. Pirate DH is sort of, I would say, the outlier where it's like it doesn't have a great meta space right now, but it is like infinite aggro, if that makes sense. Because once it's out of
100%,
creating a board, it's like, okay, my next 8 turns all involve direct damage or charge, but you still have to answer it every way. And
I just started yes and Pirate DH. Pirate DH is the reason why I stopped playing 30 Skipper Odin and some Chinese player invented XL Skipper Odin, and I immediately saw the reason why you had to go XL. There's just the slow burn, especially if they're running Kurtrus and Pirate DH. Just out of nowhere, you're going to get popped with a Pyroblast. You need the cushion. Because, like, even if they... I used to joke, I used to have the meme where it was, like, the guy sipping the coffee cup. And it's like, change my mind. And I used to put Pirate DH as a mid-range deck, change my mind, with an aggro high roll, change my mind. And I think I tilted a few people saying that. But, like, it's just... It never stops. It's just... Yeah, it's what Alpha envisioned way back when with Dead Man's Hand in a pirate deck. It's infinite aggro. It just never runs out of gas.
Yeah, it's like sometimes they'll run downhill with Hosen and you can't stop it. It happens. Mm-hmm. But when you clear that first board, and the Hosen doesn't really stick or anything like that, it's like location comes down. And then they're drawing extra cards with Glaive. And it's like, okay, well, I still have another like 35 damage to beat, or I need to kill them before they can spend all that mana. It's like, that's a great reason to care for board if I don't have a 1 mana gain 10 armor, shatter in my deck. And that's like a really big reason. And so other people are trying to find ways to step off the board so they don't have to care about Croc Shatter. And so, some people have been trying like Girls Mage to kill before they can set up. People are playing Champions Druid because it's a little more resilient than like Dungar Druid in like certain matchups. there's all these different reasons, and even like the mid-range decks are like can be really anti-board. Like I love board. I love playing for tempo. Reno Hunter has Flurgle Tox in it, like, and sometimes like multiple layers of Flurgle Tox. And Call to Arms Paladin has Showdown Beam. Like the most effective mid-range decks also have board scams. So everyone is fighting unfair in some capacity to board. Besides besides the decks that are just constant aggro. And they're just, their scams are like a surprise amount of damage with like Wind Fury, Cold Blood.
So if we do want the board to matter more, obviously, we're not the designers. We can't put things in it. What impact can we maybe have to change that meta to help aggro, if that's the thing that whenever it's good, the board matters more. What is a solution here?
Xavius on 4, get your Plate Breaker with charge, break the armor, attack for 5, shake my hand. But really just like...
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard no.
Yeah. Being able to kill before...
Board.
being able to kill before the 2020 taunt could come down. Like, assuming they're on the play, they can go like Egg Bearer into Egg into like Umber combo, and if they get the taunt down on 4, but sometimes it's comes down on 5 because they have to answer your board. So if you can go faster than that, then Egg gets pushed out of the meta, and then these mid-range decks that were losing to Egg, like Call to Arms, they can fight it back against aggro in that way, and then the control decks like Warrior can now answer the mid-range decks, and the aggro decks can try to get under that, and it'll all go in a circle like that, and then there's combo that sort of gets punished by the aggro, gets sort of disrupted by the mid-range, but that's like, a little back and forth. If there's an aggro deck that is figured out that is consistently faster, that doesn't fold to the mid-range, or nearly as much, which is really hard to do, because like to say like, oh, you need to go like Hosen needs to be your top end, like, well, what else are we playing?
What is there a deck in your mind that you're thinking of that resembled something like this at some point in Hearthstone's history?
Yeah, Void Touch Attendant used to cost 1.
Sure.
That would probably do it. Maybe if the big decks were quicker, then like I know the big decks sort of fight board unfairly in like the don't care about board way, but it's like, if like a Walking Mountain was a threat to a warrior, then like Big Shaman could beat it up a little bit. But they're
Right.
they just don't care. If you don't need every set threat to hit them in the face, you just need the last one too. And so it's like, just these like sort of scam decks that are answered with removal, but only like, but can beat decks that don't have removal is like a great way to put it. Disco kind of did that because in like the more controlling matchups, they held back on their Tiny Knights until they could like, do like a Tiny Knight with like, 5 health, and then it was really hard to remove. And, that's just like, there was other problems with Disco and how it pushed out other aggro decks, but these are like the sort of things that could bring back, more like, oh, I need to run more removal in my deck.
So the deck that comes to my mind, and longtime listeners will not be surprised by this, is kind of in Big and Druid. Like, scam, get it out quick. Like, you buff your deck so that then the break
That was the
points
first
for like
place my
shield
mind
shatter.
went to. Yeah, that was the
Yes.
first place my mind too. Like Dark Moon Fair aggro druid.
So I may be sleeving one of those up soon because last time I tried it,
Got
it
the
wasn't
bug.
good into the meta.
Just play Tree and Druid. It's not quite the same.
I have been playing Tree and Druid, and that's fun.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like a miracle deck though. It like takes
yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't. It has ramp, where you need to spend a couple turns like building up exploding versus like in Big Druid is like, well, I drew 2 Embiggens. Here we go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we were in a chat the other day, and I think it was you who mentioned that Treant Druid was essentially a miracle deck, and it actually changed how I approached the deck, and I started winning more, and it was like, oh, there we go.
Yeah, knowing how much to sell into your miracle, like to sell into you, hold back for your pop-off turn is definitely a skill to learn, and I'm still learning it. One of the best people I've ever seen playing the deck was probably Zach. I think he's finally changed his name from Hyperion to Zach because there were a billion Hyperions, and so now he is just Zach. Sandwich Zach. Yeah, I like watching him layer threats and being like, well, like he has a certain amount of buffs, but he's only showing so much. But yeah, for the pop-off turn, for sure.
Yeah, that deck is really hard because it is all like, it's kind of easy to figure out. It's like, oh, here's like, if I'm looking at my cards, here's how to maximize my stats. Like, oh, we play Treants to reduce the, buffs, and then we like weave in the buffs with like the extra mana we have. But it is really tricky to figure out how much you should do. It's all macro, which is all game reps of like, oh, how much should I push? How large should they be versus different decks, different matchups? Anything that you like learn against a Demon Seed Warlock is not going to like not going to be relevant versus the Reno Hunter.
Yeah, buddy.
Unrelated Advice with special guest of the week.
Jacques?
Hello, Schmoopiedady.
This is usually when I ask some sort of demented question to have you try to answer off the cuff, possibly in an uncomfortable way, whatever bizarre reality has popped into my brain hole. But on this particular night, I feel like we haven't touched at all on like what you've kind of been training and have gone to school for, which is the game design. So I'm going to ask you kind of a 2-part question. Question number 1, and you can kind of figure out what question, number 2 is going to be based off the first question. The first question is what has Hearthstone gotten right game design wise that it has been successful for so long?
A big thing is the presentation. It sounds obvious, it's like it's got the big fancy animations and everything just runs so smooth. But I'm not sure if you've tried other online TCGs. But you sort of almost need to like speak the languages of like Magic Arena or
Magic is tough.
Yeah, it's Hearthstone. You don't need to know the rules of Hearthstone to take game actions in the way that like other games do. And I read the the deep dive book over like Blizzard as a company last year, and when they were talking about Hearthstone, a big factor to it is it had like this over the shoulder appeal. Someone could look at it and start intuiting how the game works just by watching a couple minutes of it. And that made sense, and that was a big part of it. It's got the really simple pieces, and it'll add on the complexity, through your own gameplay decisions on, like, even the decisions that don't seem hard to us at this point. It's like, what should we play on turn 4? The piloted Shredder, or the Knife Juggler plus the shielded Minibot? It's like, a longtime veteran might know that answer super easily depending on like what their hand is, what the matchup is, but these are really simple decisions that like your mom and dad could also consider these things, and it's only through like experience that these decisions become deeper.
I feel that a lot in Arena, right? Like in Arena is like another like example to feel that way again if you haven't played Arena for a long time, where there is an Arena meta. There are definite classes that people choose. There are definite cards that people prefer. There are cards that super overperform in Arena that do not perform at all in Ladder. And you're like, why the hell am I seeing this card so much? And I'm always impressed watching Arena streamers, again, because it's the format that they know and that they've deep dived on. They know exactly what they're playing around when they're making their decisions versus like, versus like me, who's just like, it takes me 20 games of getting my butt kicked to figure out what the hell is going on in Arena and dragging my knuckles through the sand. So yeah, that makes sense, where it's like you almost have to intune, okay, what decision am I making this turn, because what is my opponent capable of?
Yeah, Hearthstone does a really good job of almost making you seem like you made a good decision every time. You can do, the decision you chose is like, okay, this put some stats on board, or this drew me some cards. That doesn't seem too bad. And it's like, it might be a wrong, like, macro decision. But, it had this big flashy animation next to it. It's like Blood Mage Thalnos had this, like, cool thing and made my cards sparkle. It's like, that seems really cool. Like, yeah, I'm going to Frostbolt their face. It deals 4 right now, and I'm not going to have that spell damage later. Let's send the 4 upstairs.
My second part question, I'm actually going to have a third part question. My second part question is, what has HS gotten wrong, or what do in your mind, do they need to improve from a game design aspect?
Sometimes and it's something, it changes depending on game to game and like philosophy. One thing I don't like is when there's like really big power outliers that sort of carry a class. And it's really hard to A, nerf them, because then the class might be deleted. But B, print cards into that class, because the entire class is propped up by a really powerful card. So if that is drawn, if that's seen, you get to play more games. And if you don't, well, it might not feel like it. It's kind of a non-game. Most recently, it was the 4 mana, now 5 mana legendary location for Druid, Amdrasil, or however you say it. Did you see the Mulligan stats in Standard for that card?
What was
it
it,
like
85%? It was stupid. Yeah, right.
It was so good that you like ship back to like New Heights and like removal versus aggro. Like, you go find that card, because no matter what the rest of your hand looks like, if you find that card, it will all be better. And to the most extreme of this, like when Instruments Tech was printed and Twig Sphere was that, it's like, I remember looking at a stat, it was like, it was like the default HS Guru stat, so it was all free. So it was like, bronze through gold, however it is. Twig Sphere, Instrument Tech all had a 88% or higher mulligan win rate, and it was just, go find your best cards. And that can be like a real big problem on like, okay, how do we print a new Druid archetype that like doesn't just keep on overwhelming this? And can we nerf this card? Because if we nerf this card, we're kind of nerfing, 100 cards that are also standard legal. Like way back in the day, way back in the day, Hunter was not doing well. However, Call of the Wild cost 8 mana. And that card was incredible. And they had to hit that card, though Hunter wasn't doing well. It didn't have tournament results. It wasn't having much ladder results. But they're like, when this card is drawn, it is unbelievable. And like, it's just something we don't want to have to future balance around. Not even like in a design space thing. It's just like, if we ever want to print a good Hunter card, it's going to be a problem because this card is a problem. And that's like, it comes up a lot. The other answer to your question is Grifta. Oh my god, why does it have 1 mana deal 6? Like, I've played a lot of Standard. Like, why do I have a 3 and 7 to decide if my deck has a combo kill or not? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get that card. Like, we've had like solutions to this problem, like with Lady Azara, where it has a limited pool, you kind of have to unlock it, and there, because you can always get one of them, you can sort of balance all of them around each other and around always having it. But nope, 1 mana deal 6 has been around the entire time. I don't get that card at all. How does it keep on living?
My final part 3, and this is not the only card game you're involved in, right? Like, you were heavily involved in, is it Elestrals?
Elestrals, yes.
Okay, I've actually pronounced it correctly for the first time in my life. I'm feeling very proud. You may applaud. What? Yes, I deserve this. Thank you.
Hooray!
My pitch to you is give us a little pitch. What in your mind has Elestral's done better than HS, and what sort of brings you to the card game?
Elestrals has an insanely good resource system where, let's say you start out, it plays a little bit like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can just spell sling all you want a little bit, but Elestrals has an insanely good resource system where you have what's called 20 spirits, essentially 20 mana at the start of the game. If I want to play out Arcane Intellect, their equivalent is called Nectar of the Gods. It costs 2 of that, and that is I only have that for all the cards I want to play. All those 20 spirits, I've used up 2 of them. I only have 18 spirits left to win the game with. Here's, so it's a little interesting on like how do you like risk reward of like, is a draw 2 worth 10% of the total cards I can play the entire time? Maybe. How do cards that like interact with getting more of those, spirits back? Really interesting. The second caveat, that is also your life total. That is that spirit deck. So there is an interesting balance between how does aggro play versus like a combo deck. Aggro gets the beat down, and the combo deck might be physically unable to cast their combo cards because you've hit them too hard. How does healing play? Like, it's like, I know this is, how does a card like Flash Heal interact in a game like that where it's also picking you up more mana? Flash Heal is a little bit like funnel cakes in that way. But, if you don't have the cards, because it's a lower resource game, you just have fewer cards going around. It's like, do I want to spend a card on healing in my aggro deck? Or am I going to be a more controlling deck where I want this card advantage, I want this healing advantage? I try to 1-for-1 with you. There's been like a deck called Heal Control in the past where you play all the different healing cards across all the different classes. It's sort of like Magic, you can mix and match the colors. And basically how it won is literally any guy getting across the finish line because your opponent cannot physically play any more cards and you can just play like 2 more than them. It's got a really good, interesting resource system that hooked me onto the game, and now Ridiculous Hat is the community manager for them. I did a little bit THL back in the day, and Hat remembered me from my 2 seasons there. So they've got a great team, really cool, inspiring game. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard that on
Born to be wild.
That resource system sounds so cool.
Azalea was right. It sounds like black and magic a little bit, right? But like every class is kind of black. Like everybody is doing that.
Everyone's playing with mana confluences. Yeah.
Nice.
How does mana confluences only sound in a Soul Sisters meta? A little different.
Those are words.